What happens when a respectful man just wants to eat, but the restaurant turns him away because of how he looks? They have no idea he owns the building. What happens next puts everyone in their place in the most unexpected way. You ever have one of those days where you wake up feeling just good? Not rich. Not lucky. Not even particularly well rested. Just solid. Like, today's gonna be alright. That was me. I had just finished speaking at a local high school on the south side. Spent the morning with a room full of teenagers, talking about pride, about history, about the power of showing up for yourself. Some of these kids have been written off since the moment they were born, and yet, they were leaning in. Listening. Nodding. One even asked if I'd come back next week. So, yeah, I was feeling good. It was almost noon. My stomach started talking, and I figured I'd treat myself. Nothing fancy. Just a proper sit-down meal. Somewhere with real silverware and a cloth napkin. You know, civilized. That's how I ended up standing in front of Charlotte's Garden, a so-called modern American bistro, in downtown Chicago, dressed in my clean blazer and polished shoes, holding the door open for an older white woman trying to steady herself with a cane. She smiled at me like I was a memory she forgot she still had. Thank you, sweetheart. The world needs more like you. I smiled back. One plate of pasta at a time, ma'am. I followed her inside, expecting nothing more than a table, a glass of water, maybe a nice Cobb salad. What I got instead was a reminder. Behind the host stand stood a young woman with the kind of tight-lipped smile that says, "I've already decided what kind of person you are." "Hi, I'm just one. I don't mind waiting." She glanced past me like I was invisible. Then said, "Sorry, we're fully booked today." "Now hold on." I looked around. At least 3 empty tables. 2 by the window, 1 right next to the bar. Even for just one? I could sit at the bar, or... No, sorry. We're full. This time her voice dropped half an octave. Cold. Sharp. Final. And just when I thought maybe I was imagining things, in walks a middle-aged white man in a Patagonia vest. Walks right past me, says, "Reservation for 2?" "Of course, Mr. Keller." "Right this way." I stood there. In full color. Watching them seat him at the window like royalty. I looked back at her, and she just blinked. Like nothing happened. And here's the part that stings, I didn't cause a scene. I didn't raise my voice. I just turned and walked out, slowly, like I was dragging the weight of something I've been carrying my whole life. Not anger. Not even shock. Just a bitter kind of confirmation. I sat on the bench right outside that glass window. Watched them laugh, toast, eat. And I thought to myself. You held a door open with your heart wide open, and they still locked you out. What happened next changed everything. You don't want to miss how this unfolds. I sat there. Right outside that shiny glass door, still in my clean blazer, tie loosened just enough to show I'd earned my meal. I wasn't pacing. I wasn't yelling. I wasn't doing anything but breathing. And apparently, that was enough to make people nervous. Because 5 minutes later, a security guard strolled up like I had just parked a tank on the sidewalk. "Sir, management is requesting that you leave the premises." I raised an eyebrow. "I'm sitting on a bench. That's on public property." He hesitated, just for a second, like his brain had to switch gears from intimidate to improvise. "Well, they're saying you're making guests uncomfortable." Uncomfortable. There's that word again. That slippery little shield people use when they can't say what they really mean. I leaned back on the bench. Funny. I was uncomfortable too. Didn't see anyone rushing to fix that. He shifted, clearly not expecting pushback that didn't come with raised fists. And then, like clockwork, the police showed up. 2 officers. One already had his hand on his belt before he even said hello. The taller one approached, polite on the surface, stiff in the shoulders. "Sir, we've received a call." "Some kind of disturbance?" "Disturbance?" I looked around like maybe I missed something, maybe someone else had flipped a table while I was daydreaming. "I'm sitting here." "That's the disturbance?" He didn't laugh. Didn't even smirk. Then came the ask. "Can I see some ID?" "Sure." I pulled out my wallet slowly, deliberately. Because when you're a black man in America, even reaching is a performance. Every move is calculated. Every gesture rehearsed. Handed over my license. He stared at it like it might bite. "Malcolm Rhodes." "You local?" "Born and raised, officer. Couple miles from here." "Want to see my voter registration too, or is this a restaurant matter?" He didn't like that. I saw the jaw tighten. Then, and I still don't know how she got there so fast, the same older woman I had helped earlier stepped out of the restaurant and planted herself right in front of the cops. "Excuse me." That man held the door for me. He was kind. Respectful. "You're really going to harass him for sitting?" The officers didn't answer. The security guy suddenly found the pavement fascinating. The hostess peeked out from inside, saw the scene, and disappeared back behind the register like she never saw a thing. I stood up slowly. Not aggressive. Not dramatic. Just firm. "I appreciate you, ma'am." But they already decided who I was before I even said a word. The officer handed back my license like it burned his fingers. "Just, try not to cause any more issues." "More?" I smiled. "I'll try not to sit down too hard next time. Wouldn't want to ruin anybody's salmon tartare." I walked away. Not fast. Not slow. Just steady. Head up. Back straight. But inside? Inside something had snapped. It wasn't the first time I'd been dismissed. It wasn't the first time I'd been told, with a smile, that I didn't belong. But it might just be the last time I walked away without answering. This is the turning point. Everything you've been waiting for is about to unfold. The next morning, I wasn't angry. No fire. No rage. No need for loud speeches. I was calm, the kind of calm that makes people nervous. The kind of calm you feel when you've got the paperwork. See, there's something about being underestimated that hits different when you're over 50. When you've built things. When you own things. When people think you're just some man looking for lunch, and they don't realize you've been holding the keys to the whole damn block. So I pulled up to Charlotte's Garden one more time. Same blazer. Same shoes. But this time? Different mission. I walked in like I had a reservation for destiny. The hostess saw me and froze. She looked like she was waiting for me to start shouting, but I didn't come for noise. I came for clarity. I walked right up to her, placed a manila envelope on the counter. "Give this to your manager. And tell him to read the part underlined in red." She didn't move at first. Just stared. So I added. "You might want to hurry. This one comes with a deadline." A few minutes later, out walks the manager. Slick suit. Nervous eyes. The kind of smile people wear when they know they're about to lose something valuable. "Mr. Rhodes, is there a misunderstanding we can clear up?" I raised an eyebrow. "Oh, there's no misunderstanding. In fact, I'm here to bring clarity." I opened the envelope and laid out the documents. Heavy checkmark the building title. Heavy checkmark the lease agreement. Heavy checkmark in my signature, fresh and final, on the clause that allows termination due to discriminatory behavior. His face turned the color of overcooked shrimp. He stumbled into a speech, something about policy, confusion, staffing mistakes, blah blah blah, but I wasn't listening. I'd heard that tune before. "You didn't want me here yesterday because of how I look," I said. "Now you'll see me every month, on your rent check." Right then, the door opened behind us. The older woman, the same one I'd helped, stepped inside again, cane in hand, and looked the manager dead in the eyes. "You should be ashamed. That man showed more grace yesterday than this entire restaurant put together." Silence. Customers were watching now. Some pulled out phones. Others just paused with forks halfway to their mouths. I turned to leave. No grand exit. No punchline. Just truth. But before I stepped out, I looked back over my shoulder. Next time someone like me walks through your door, you might want to ask who they are, before you show them the exit. Then I walked away. Not just as a man who'd been refused, but as the man who now held the deed to the place that tried to shut him out. If you've ever been looked down on, ignored, or judged before you said a single word, this story's for you. Subscribe. Share. Let's keep telling the stories that make silence impossible. Because next time, you just might be holding the deed, too.